Hey, back in the shop again. So my goal, my intentions are on this axle is to use these brackets in their entirety. Problem is, they're not made for this axle. So slowly overnight, as I thought about it, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to make it work. Did some research, looked at some other axle Super Duty setups. I'm just gonna make it work. I hate to cut up a perfectly good bracket, but it's mine, so I'm gonna do it. So here's what I've done already today. The tube on that Dana 60 for the 89, 91 setup, it's for almost 3 inches, maybe on the OD. Well, this tube on this axle is 3.5 OD. So you can see I've already had to do some whittling with the torch. I went ahead and cut this bracket. I'm getting ready to cut this bracket so it can fit closer to the outside of the knuckle itself. So it's a little bit of fabrication. I'm going to clean it up where it looks nice. But right now I'm just doing some whittling on it so I can get it close, doing one side at a time. That's how it works sometimes. You just got to make it work. So I'm putting these things in my head down on the steel and we're going to make it work. Hey, welcome to the channel. I'm Caleb Morrison. This is Caleb's Diesel and Fabrication. If you like fabricating stuff, if you like working on diesel vehicles, this is a great place to be because we're going to do it all. All right, here's what I got going on. I had to end up putting the tires on the axle up on the welding table. I kind of ran into a little hiccup. Put these brackets on. I'm like, oh, I'm going to mount them as far as I can out for stabilization so it just fits better and I can mount up, you know, kind of to the knuckle on the outside. Well, started looking at it. Problem is these 40s, you know, they turn and they got a lot of mass moving front to back. So those link bars are going to get hit by those tires when you're turning. So the problem with that is now I'm going to have to move them as far as I can in, especially on the driver's side where the pumpkin is. You don't have much room. So here we are. I'll show you what I got going on with that. And I already cut one of the brackets down to fit on the other side, and I ended up moving it back to the inside because my frame on my truck is 33.5 inches on the very outside, and I've got plenty of room to move it on the inside, but the problem is on the driver's side where the tube for the axle shaft is so short, it's going to be hard to put that bracket on there. I think I can still do it, but it's going to be super close, so I'll show you what I got going on. All right, so here's just a mock-up. I got the bar going across here, holding it up with vice grips. It's not permanent, it's just a mock-up. But anyways, got this bracket cut. So this bracket is going to end up sitting like this on the axle. I got it kind of whittled down where it fits the profile of the axle. And then here's what I was talking about. So when you go to turn this axle all the way to this side, so if you look, the tire comes really close in relation to this bracket. Well, that's where it's supposed to be. If I move it to where I was going to put it right here, you can kind of see that that link bar that comes right here and goes back to the frame is going to hit. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to move it in to about right there. I'm actually going to give myself a little bit of room, probably somewhere in that range, because it's going to flex out a little bit back and forth. So I'm probably going to give myself about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch on this side. Now, that's not as bad, but when you turn this to full bump steering wise to the other side, start looking at this. So this bracket I was gonna mount way out here. Kind of hard to hold at the same time, but anyways, you can see the link bars are going to touch. So that's just like that on the axle tube. All right, so you can see it's going to touch. Problem is, can't do it that way. So basically, I'm going to pick this up, and I'm going to end up mounting this like that, and I hope that's enough room. I'm probably going to have to go maybe a hair more. It's going to have some braces put in where it sits down, but it's anyways, I'm glad I checked that before I started putting these on. It's gonna flex a little bit, and there's not a whole lot of room. That's what kind of makes this a little bit tough. But the best thing about a challenge is on this is I'm learning, and this is a good challenge I'm gonna have to overcome. And I'm sure I can fabricate what I need to get it done. But here we are. So well, it's kind of cool. The upshot is I got to see the tires on the axle for the first time. So they look super good. It looks beefy. It's huge. I've never had tires this big on a truck, especially just a regular pickup. But, you know, these are massive. The axle looks beefy. It's going to be pretty awesome when it's done. But, yeah, so I got a visual at least on it. And here we go. Hopefully get these brackets on there and make them work. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. Okay, so the thing about getting all these brackets on is you don't really know if it's going to fit till it's under the truck. I got the brackets all cut in how I like them. Just thinking about welding them on, but I thought, you know, I'm gonna put the axle back underneath the truck, take the tires off the axle, just see how it fits up. If I weld them on there or tack them on there and they're in the wrong spot, I might do a lot more work to cut it off. So fabrication work, you're going to do a lot of taking it off, putting it back on, taking it off, putting it on. I mean, it's just the nature of the beast. So next time you see me, we'll have this thing underneath the truck, and we're going to put the brackets on to see if they're going to hit the frame or what's going to hit first. So here we are. All right, here we are again. Got the axle back underneath the truck, got it centered. Went ahead and got these brackets tacked underneath here. So I just got them tacked for now, but one thing I want to show you guys is if you got this kit from Off-Road Design and it's made for the axle, then what's nice is you can tack all these brackets on because they've done pretty much all the R&D and they fit perfectly. So you don't have to, if it's a Dana 60 Kingpin Ford axle, Dana 60 Chevy Kingpin axle, no problem. They have the brackets that are made just for that. So since this is a Super Duty axle, I'm having to do a lot of extra stuff, but I'm going to make it work. So one thing I would say, even if you're going to put the other brackets on and they've done all the guesswork on those, get you a piece of angle or a piece of flat bar, something that is going to hold a true plane. And what I did here is just put that across both brackets before where I tacked them in, got them level. Then I tacked them on the axle with everything straight across. So I'll show you that right now. The reason you're doing this is because you want to make sure that this axle bracket is straight all the way across. So see how I got these clamps? I got the brackets on there. I got it welded, just tacked for now because I wanted to make sure that this is going to work. So my main concern is when I put these tires on and I start turning the tire, I don't want the tire to come in contact with these bars. And the bars for the 4-link are going to run from here and here all the way back to the brackets that go on the frame behind the body mount here. So 4-link, you know, as you know, it's kind of one of those suspension systems that's made for high performance. So it's going to allow it to go up and down, back and forth, barely, up and down primarily. So the key is with a 40-inch tall tires, you're going to have a lot of throw going from inside to outside as you're turning, and you want to make sure that it's not going to hit those link bars. So you can see I got the other side tacked in there as well. Got my angle finder on here for my caster, but you can look across here and see I've got it completely straight. The other bracket's straight. You look right across the top. So can't beat it. It's looking good so far. You can see I had to get kind of Western with this bracket, a lot of cutting and trimming. I got a lot of little pieces and brackets that I got to make so that I can get this side tied in. Normally this would be bolted with a U-bolt if it was on the correct axle, but since I'm kind of doing an axle that hasn't been done before on this truck anyways, through off-road design, I'm kind of doing it as I go. So I'm going to get these tacked on there. I also need to pick it all the way up to full bumps. I got it tacked, put the wheels on, and make sure that it's going to clear and that it's not going to hit those bars. So after that, I can go ahead and burn these brackets in, but I got to make sure of that first. Also, I was making sure, which you can kind of see here, that whenever I pick it up, that those brackets are going to clear the frame, which lucky for me and most trucks is the frame itself is going to neck down. It's straight back here, you know, where the cab is straight, and then it necks in to go meet the engine and cross member, and then adds more space for this bracket right here to come up and down. So it'll be able to, it's got a good, I'd say 3 inches of clearance here. This one, it's got a good at least 2.5, 3 inches on this side to go up and down. So which it's going to bottom out, the pinion is going to bottom out on the cross member for the engine before those even get close. So a lot of things you don't have to worry about, but you know, I just like tacking stuff on first, making sure it's all good, and then after I get it all tacked and I know everything's going to fit and work, then I can burn it in all the way. Because I don't know if you guys have ever cut full thickness welds off of something to redo it and clean it all up, but it wastes a ton of time. So here we go. All right, we're back. I got dirt all over me. I've been underneath the truck welding, been underneath this axle, looking good. Anyways, we got it back underneath here. We've come a long ways from being over there on the table with the wheels on. So I'll show you what we got going on here. Got these axle brackets on. You can see I had to make kind of my own template there to get it welded over to the diff. I ended up putting a piece in there to get it moved over. This is where the shock tower for the coilovers mounts. That's what these 2 holes are for right there. Then back here, you can kind of see I had to make a piece as well right there. And I still got to make a piece to go right there. But it's coming together pretty good. You can look across there The plane of the two brackets is right on the money. Got them straight. If you look right here, it's straight with the frame. It's not going to be hitting at all, which is what my goal was. I got it welded in pretty good. Started up there. I had to put this piece back in there after cutting it off previously today. I got it welded on the backside there to the axle tube. Got my axle sitting back up on the old homemade jack stand with the Harbor Freight Daytona. And I still got a little bit more to do on this bracket, but for the most part, I'm getting excited because these bars can be made here pretty soon from here to here to the axle bracket that goes right back here. So I'm looking forward to it. Craig got my frame pieces to go ahead and box my frame the rest of the way and cut. So you can see he's working on it. Got most of those pieces cut. He got one right there cut, and then he just got one more to go up to the front. So it's looking pretty good. It's going to be fully boxed in. I think people are going to like it because it's going to be heavy duty. It's not going to flex a whole lot, which is what I was a fan of. So yeah, that's where we're at. Got a lot done today. I still got a little bit more welding to do, but it's kind of cool to see my tires and wheels on, and then get to at least look at the tires and wheels with the axle kind of sitting in the right spot. I think it'll really become more and more real as we put the truck down on its own weight. Pretty cool. I'm excited. Like, this project's come a long ways, and I know it seems like it's taking forever because, well, it is for me anyways, but I'm looking forward to it. Tomorrow will be December 5th. The new Ultimate Adventure videos are dropping on Motor Trend, and I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to watching them. It's going to be awesome. Tomorrow night, I'll be hitting it hard. I love watching the adventure and seeing what breaks, what doesn't break, what trucks do good, how they wheel, where they go. Some of that adventure is just not knowing where you're going, and then whenever you do finally show up, you know, to the adventure, you kind of just get told that day where you're going, and you just got to load up and go. So I'm looking forward to that, man. Maybe I can get some pointers and see some of the ways guys built their trucks for this year. I've been watching some of their YouTube videos. Dave Chappelle's been putting a few of them out. He's been putting just some, I don't know, teasers out about what's going on and different things that they've worked on, and you know, the kind of the journey, check-in. I've seen a couple of Vern put out a video of them. I think there's another guy, I'm trying to remember what that guy, his channel is called Grandpa Cheapo's Garage. He went for Bubba ropes this year. It's pretty cool, just seeing, you know, their prep work, getting ready for it, and then some of the clips from Ultimate Adventure, getting to see the wheeling. I'm a big fan. So anyways, I'm hoping that here soon enough that this rig, you know, it'll be in the right frame of mind and running good, that it can possibly go on a trip like that. So I just keep putting parts on, keep going a little bit farther every day, and hopefully this next week I'll be able to get some link bars built for the front, get the frame brackets put on right there behind the cab mount for my link bars. Probably gonna have to end up trimming some of my body mount tabs right there off that, so it's nice and tight, because those link bars, it's still not at full bump right now. It's got to go up a little bit farther than the axle does. So we'll get to see some of that next week. I'm hoping to have that done, and then hopefully the link bars are like the back, how they're all done and matched up. Supposed to be getting a shipment from Barnes tonight from FedEx for the hoops for the 4-link back here, so I can go ahead and start mounting the coilovers, which would be awesome, because then I can set the truck on the ground in the back anyways. So just a little bit every day. Thanks for watching, guys. Hey, we're back at it today. So I'm working on coilover. Well, both coilovers, but today working on the rear coilovers. I'm kind of jumping headstrong into it. I got a lot done on it. Got my bump stops mounted. I got my coilovers almost mounted. I still got to do some finish welding, but I wanted to bring you in here and get you going, showing you some of the geometry of this, and I'll go over that here in a little while. But this is finish welding some of the brackets, and I'll go over all the pieces and parts that I bought. just made this process super easy. I really enjoy the process of this, and I'm starting to enjoy the process even more since I have the parts that I need. So here we go. All right, hey, I'm back. I've been welding today. I've been working on the 4-link. It's been quite a day. I feel like this sometimes at my shop. I might have mentioned it, but I own a diesel repair shop here where I live in Skytook, Oklahoma. And there's days where we work with my guys and it seems like, you know, nothing goes right. And it just, for some odd reason, things just don't go your way. And so today is not one of those days, which none of my guys are here today. Craig helped today because he needed some extra hours. But anyways, today went great. Today things came together like they're supposed to. Things started happening. They kind of fell together. So I did a lot of video and didn't do a lot of talking, which that's kind of what I'm a fan of on YouTube, is whenever people do more work than they do talking, and, you know, explain later on what's going on and how everything went. So I got a few things I can show you today. I got to give a huge shout out to Barnes 4-wheel drive. I also have to give a shout out to Off-Road Design. Those guys keep me going. There's so many things I've used, I'll show you here in a minute, from both companies that just make my life so much easier. And I'm really learning the process here. So you can see I got my shock towers mounted. So, well, for some reason my camera's not focusing. Anyways, so these shock towers, they're adjustable. They're two pieces of tubing that go in one inside the other, and you can actually use it to set your height however you need to. And they're from Barnes 4-wheel drive, and they're really affordable. I can't even remember what they were, but they were under $100. It was super cheap, in my opinion, on fabricating, and it made it so easy because I was able to set this tube in, or push this tube onto this hoop that was made up already, and I was able to slide it to where I needed it and just weld it in. So it just makes your life so much easier. I also bought a bunch of these shock tabs from Barnes 4-wheel drive. They're a couple bucks a piece. They came in clutch. Also got them down here, mounted for the bottom of the coilover. You come over here, it's the same exact thing. I can't say enough about it. Like their products make life so much easier. I bought the 4-link kit from Barnes 4-wheel drive. Also, I didn't really go into detail, but I also got my bump stops completely put on. I got them welded in. I kind of went and made my own design for the bump stop bracket. Barnes does sell a bracket that goes on your axle for this, but I have plenty of plate laying around from other projects, so I use that. So what this bump stop does is whenever you completely max out the suspension, this bump stop acts as a dampener to keep your axle from moving any farther up, and then you're also, whenever you got your coilovers on there, it doesn't bottom out the coilover and mess up the valving or mess up something inside. So those got mounted. I got these cans. They came from Radflow. I bought the bump stops from Radflow. I met them at SEMA, talked to them. They seem really knowledgeable. I really like their product. They seem like good people. Super nice guy. I went ahead and bought the whole 4 bump stops. I went with King coilovers from Off-Road Design. Man, like I said, I cannot say enough about Off-Road Design. I think I called them twice this week, getting ready to mount all these coilovers on here, and they had all the things they were saying, everything that they talked about. I talked to Steven once, I talked to Kyle once. They were so helpful in getting this adjusted right. So I'll go over that. So on this 4-link suspension, you obviously have your axle that's mounted, and it's as straight as it can be. It's centered, so you start there. You get your axle full bump. So which that means is you get the axle completely up, up against the bump stops, which I'll jack it up, and you'll see, you can watch the bump stops as I jack the jack up, how they come up. So they're slowly coming up, which is jacked super slow. But anyways, you get this axle to full bump, and it bottoms out. So that's what that looks like. Then you're going to measure. I've got, for the back here, I've got some 16-inch coilovers. So I brought the coilovers over here, and I actually mocked them up, and it's going to come down. When you mount your coilover, you're basically going to come down half of the amount of travel that you have on your coilover. So I have 16-inch coilovers in the rear. It's going to come down 8 inches. So you can take that, and that's where your ride height's going to be. The same thing in the front. I've got 14-inch coilovers for the fronts, which I haven't done yet, but they're going to be soon. But you're gonna measure halfway down. That's basically where your truck's going to sit. It's super easy. You just split the shock in half, and I'm going for the ultimate flex and the most performance. I'm not going for a target ride height, which if you call Off-Road Design, they'll talk about, do you have a target ride height in mind? Which I don't. I just have, I want to be able to get the most flex out of it. I don't want it to be super tall, but I think with 40s, you don't really have a choice. So it's going to be tall no matter what. I'm pretty much wrapped up on the back. The last thing I got to do is get my coilovers filled with nitrogen, which I haven't done yet. You can kind of see they're all pretty and packaged up nice. I used that one to do all my mock-up. So it worked out pretty good, as you can see in the video. I built these brackets. I just used some 1/4-inch diamond plate. I feel like it worked out pretty good. To make this tube where it was going to be nice and strong and stout to the frame, I just cut some 2x2 quarter wall tubing and a square tubing, and I welded it to the frame. So it's going to be nice and tight. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. I think once I get those shocks filled up, I'll be able to put them on there and then put the wheels on it. And I really honestly can't wait until I can put the tires on, because I just want to see what the tires are going to look like. I think it's going to be so awesome. I was telling Craig, today, being that everything went like it's supposed to, you just feel like you make major hurdles up, and it works out good. So anyways, that's where we're at on that. I'm still working on my brackets. Since Off-Road Design doesn't make the 4-link kit for this Super Duty axle yet, I basically have been whittling and cutting and making these brackets work. I think they're going to work out great. They're the same height, same level. I got them sitting perfectly on there. I got them set up. So I'm on the home stretch on these, but I just was too excited and ready to get the rear done. So you can kind of see I've had to add in a few pieces here on the axle to get this to go and be straight and line up like it's supposed to. So if you look across there, you can see both brackets 1 and 2. That's where the link bars are going to go on the front. The reason why I had to end up moving these brackets farther in is whenever you turn this axle like this and you put a tire on this, the tire is going to be super close to those link bars. I would like to put these out farther, but you can't. So I got them as far over as possible, and I got about 1 inch of room between the tire that's going to be about back here and where the bars are going to be. So I'm waiting on 2 more bars from Off-Road Design. They should be here Monday, and then I'll be able to put this underneath there and get that all set up. Pretty excited. I got my my revised steering set up from Rough Stuff Specialties, so I can do the double shear. It's going to be super cool. I got the tubing, I got all the parts for it, so it's coming together. It's a little smoky in the shop. I did a ton of welding today, but all in all, today was just great. Got everything done. I'm super excited about the rear of the truck. It kind of makes you see the bigger picture of where and how this suspension is going to be set up. Kind of gives me an idea of, well, on my bed. I really want to build a tube chassis bed, but I'm kind of up in the air on how I'm going to build it. I kind of give myself some time. I think what I'm going to do is put the wheels on the rear of the truck and set it down on its own weight and just see what or how it's going to sit and what it looks like, and then maybe build the bed around the wheels and tires. Because obviously if I cycle the suspension all the way up at full bump and the tires getting into the bed because I built the bed first, I'm not going to be doing what I'm supposed to do. So some of this you got to build in succession, and I'm learning that. I'm coming from a fabrication background, but I've never built a 4-wheel drive rig like this with 4-link front and rear, so I'm kind of way off in left field, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying the challenge. I feel like that nowadays that people just want stuff super quick. They want to do things that are easy, and you know, that is nice sometimes, but I'll be the first one to tell you that when you get back and you look at a project that you've built with your hands and you've touched everything, it's just an awesome feeling knowing that you did it and that no one can take the credit for it, and you worked your ass off and did a great job on it. So anyways, I think I'll feel the same way about this. I'm used to building fire trucks, brush rigs, tanker trucks. I'm used to working on diesel vehicles, you know, anything with a diesel. And anyways, it's rewarding whenever you work as hard as you do on a project and then it ends up working like you really wanted to or you dreamed of it working. So this is a new challenge for me, and I'm really enjoying it. So thanks for staying with me. If you don't mind, man, comment, like the video, please subscribe. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better. I'm starting to get this video thing figured out a little bit. I'm not the best guy in the world for any type of video / computer work. That's my least favorite thing, but I'm going to be putting out more and more content, and as this build goes on, I think you guys are going to see how it's going to progress, and I think you're going to like it. So hang with me. Hope you guys like what you've seen so far. We'll see you. All right, back in the shop. I get it. More work, less talking. That's what I'm going to do. Got my AirPods in. I'm hammered down. All right, I'm over at the welding table. I'm working on getting this all cleaned up. I'm making these brackets to go on those shock tower mounts. So, you know, you see a lot of these guys on YouTube. You see a lot of them that have channels that have these awesome cutting tables, fab tables, you know, probably $30,000-$40,000 CNC plasma machine, which is super cool. Maybe one day I'll have one, but this is what I use. I got cardboard, I make the cutouts, and then I transfer them onto my steel to make my brackets, and then I cut it out. You don't have to be super fancy, and you don't have to have the $30,000-$40,000 tools. You could still make it work just like this. I've been doing it for a long time. It works just as good. I'm gonna clean up these brackets. They'll look awesome on there, and they're gonna be stout. You know, it's kind of frustrating sometimes whenever I'm watching these shows and, you know, these guys make it seem like in 30 minutes that this project gets done. And the reality of that is it's not true. I mean, this takes, sometimes years. I remember at SEMA talking to a few of the guys that, you know, had these truck builds that, you know, they're by far more intricate and way more fancy than this truck that I'm building. And I'm like, hey man, how long did it take you to build that? And some of these guys were saying 3-4 years of working on a truck. 3 to 4 years, which is a long time for building something, especially a vehicle. I know people that, you know, take that long to build a house, you know, with multiple contractors. Just think about doing it by yourself on one vehicle. I'm planning on having this done soon, so hopefully this won't take me another year. I mean, I've been into it now about 6 months, and I feel like I'm doing good, but I'm learning as I go, and so far I'm proud of the results that I've got going on. But just to show you guys, it doesn't take a genius. It doesn't take someone who has, you know, $30,000-$40,000 cutting table to make these brackets. You can make a lot of this stuff yourself, so that's what I'm doing.